Welcome to Ultra Catalyst. I'm your host, Stephen Nosek. We'll be exploring the one decision people make to drive change in their lives. Join me each week to hear from a variety of guests about what they did, the techniques and strategies they used, and how they're now leading their best lives.
Welcome back, friends. Ultra Catalyst podcast host Stephen Nosek here. We got a special guest for you, my blood brother, Jeff Nosek. Now, for those that are just joining us, you've heard of the Ultra Catalyst podcast and you're wondering, what is it that we talk about? Well, let me just tell you a little bit about what we do here so you could follow along. Remember, hit like, subscribe, put a comment, and reach out to any one of me or the guests, and we'll get back to you. Now, Ultra Catalyst podcast, what do we do? We're talking to everyday people. They're from all different walks of life, all different backgrounds, and we're really trying to identify what are those things, those trigger points and catalyst decisions that they make where they take themselves from their life as they knew it into the best life or towards the best life in what they're doing. And it's all about those events in their life that they had to make a decision. Sometimes it was awesome, sometimes it was difficult, and it took multiple decisions before they cracked the code to say, you know what, I'm ready to live my best life. And we're going to hear from all kinds of individuals, different stories about different things, but buckle up. This is going to be an interesting conversation because I'm going to be talking to my brother, Jeff Nosek. Now, let me tell you a little bit about him. He is a father of two. He is a network engineer, a solution architect, IT guru, and he's a triathlete, an ultra runner, and on the quest to dominate his own mindset improvement and focus on the goals in front of him and shoot for the frickin' stars. So put your hands together, give a big round of applause. What's up, my brother? How are you today?
Mr. Steven, hey bud, thank you for having me on the cast. This is awesome. I love it to be here.
Yeah.
Really well. Been a bit of a struggle out here in California today. Had a lot of power outages and wind and whatnot, but here we are, making it happen.
Excellent. We carved up the schedule a little bit, made some rearrangement, and I'm glad you're able to join us today. So I told the audience a little bit about you, but let's just give a quick background. Where do you want to start on one of those pivotal moments so people get to know who you are? And then we'll just dive right back into the conversation.
Well, I think the first spot I could talk to would be kind of the big decision that hit me in 2018, 2019. I went through a separation and then quickly into a divorce mode. And I pretty much had to decide, am I going to let this beat me down, or am I just going to alter what I need to get done for me? And that's what I did. I set out at the beginning of 2019 to turn things around. I mean, at the point where I was about 330 pounds, I'd really just not done anything to, keep my weight off, keep my health in order. And it just, ballooned over time, if you will. And then the key catalyst, as you say, it was how I was going to react to the news of the divorce. And I just had to make a decision. And as you know, I think we've talked about it a few times. It started with a phone call, man. That was the catalyst. It was I'm gonna do something. And what I did at that time is I said, I'm gonna do a 30 minutes of exercise every day for 30 days. That's what started my journey that I've now been on since then. And it really was just setting a goal and saying, okay, I got to do this for 30 days. I had gone from a nearly sedentary, lifestyle with, just, projects or outdoor work. That was really about the only, extent of exercise or whatnot. And I said, okay, 30 minutes a day. And that really was just the turning point to really kind of kick it off. So as you say, that was the decision point right there. It was either wallow in self-pity and look back at every way I had failed possible. And I just said, I'm not going to do that.
Man, that makes me reflect on when you gave me a call. I think it was on a Friday night. It was late. It was probably like 6 o'clock, maybe 7 o'clock. And for everybody in the audience, my brother, he's a few years older than me. And over the last 10, 15 years, minus the last, since his story starts there, we hadn't really talked too much, right? We'd have the social gathering. I lived on the other side of the United States. I don't think we ever actually called each other or sent each other. We'd literally communicate via like another relative or a kid's birthday or something like that. And on this Friday night, he decides to call me. And I kid you not, you'll probably remember this because it's literally black and white. Is I actually was shocked, and I think I kind of joked with you, kind of razzed you on the side, like, WTF, why you call me, dude? You never call me.
Yeah.
And I think at that moment, I kind of was like, okay, something is a little off, right? Because this never, it hasn't happened for like 1 or 2 decades, right? We're probably young kids at that time. And I remember talking to you, and you said, hey, dude, I gotta tell you about a situation I'm going through. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is kind of weird. Is this dude dying? I don't know what the fuck's going on. And then you tell me what's happening. And I was like, oh, crap. And without a hesitation or a pause, you said, what are you doing on Sunday? I want to run in this 5K with you.
Yep, that's where it was, man. That was it. I had sat down and put out my plan. And in typical fashion, what I saw was I wanted to be part of a collection of races in San Jose and the Greater Bay Area. And in order to get a specific medal at the end of this series, you had to race in all of them. And it just so happens that it was the St. Patty's Day 408K. I think it was St. Patty's. I think it was the 408K.
I think it was 408K was the first one.
Yeah, and that was the one that I had to start and run because that's what it was, because I wanted to run in the St. Patty's Day one, but I had to do the 408K first. And so yeah, that was a moment that it was like, what are you doing? And sure enough, you said, I'll check my schedule.
And then 2 days went by, and bam, we found ourselves running in a 5K. I was training for a marathon that we ended up doing later in the year. That was just my goal for the year, right? Marathon. But it was awesome because in that moment, I'm looking up at my older brother, who is seriously overweight. No offense, you're fat. You said it, right? 330 whatever, right?
Yeah.
And here we go. We do this 5K, and I think the best part is we gave a hug at the end, and immediately you said, the next race comes up in 3.5 or 4 weeks. Are you ready to sign up? And I, without hesitation, I just said yes. And I'm thinking to myself, how did this guy just run a 5K? He hasn't done any exercise for the longest time. Maybe running around with the kids, like you said, yard work. And then you're just like, okay, let's do the next one. And I was blown away. But at the same time, I was like, let's get on it, man, because A, this fits into my goal. B, you want to start off on your own physical fitness journey because you have literally a major pivotal turning point. Like, okay, I got to cut my anchor and start doing something brand new for me, right? And tell us a little bit about your planning into the next series of races that you did, and how did you start to prepare for them? Leading up to
I ended up
the
going
marathon.
to the next step. I said, okay, so I did the 30 for 30. So I trained 30 minutes a day for 30 days. And it was essentially, you first started as a walk, and then I would kind of jog a little bit here and there, run a mile, but it was all within 30 minutes. And then I went 60 for the next 30 days. So 60 minutes the next 30 days. Started going to the gym, started to get outside. I mean, that was probably the biggest change, was being outside. And then in the third month, it was okay. We're going to try for 90 minutes a day. And what I ended up doing in a lot of cases, because of just the way the schedule worked, is I ended up breaking it up in half at times. So I ended up doing 2 workouts. And you might know the theme: 2 workouts out, 45 minutes apiece. Something sounds a lot like something I was introduced to in April of 2019.
75 hard, baby.
75 hard with RK Syndicate, first one. So, yeah, that was just another pivotal moment right there. You know, I put out the plan, and I said, this is what I'm going to do. And then here's the series of races I'm going to do. And then the more we did and the more I trained, you know, I remember when we talked about your marathon down in Santa Cruz, I said, well, I'll go down there and I'll cheer you on. But I've already started running. And so that instantly kind of, not even instantly, that morphed into, you know what, I'm not ready for a marathon, but you know what, darn it, I've done, you know, 5Ks and 10s and an 8K and even a 12K, which was, you know, totally unheard of. I'd never heard of one of those.
Yeah.
And then I said, okay, I can't just drive down to Santa Cruz and cheer you on. And I decided, what I guess maybe like a week before the race, that I would just run the half marathon with you. And it just, the rest of 2019 became, that's what it was about, was the focus on fitness, but focus also on self-improvement and setting a goal and then putting out another goal before I even got to the next one, right? So always having a next one. And that's really kind of my big takeaway on the positive aspects of the things I went through in 2018, 2019, is I really got back into the, not just having one goal set or, oh, here's my list for the year, but it's, I completed some on that list. Do I stop and just only focus on the last 3 things on my list, or do I start adding to make sure I have one more past it? And that's really where it just I mean, incredible year across the board. I mean, we went and did our event in Santa Cruz, and just the weather we're experiencing today and yesterday here in California, that was exactly what we were running in. Downpours, torrential downpour, thunder, lightning for that whole day, as you remember. And it was really just, we were laughing. You know, that first mile you and I ran together, I mean, obviously you're much faster than me, but you know, once I go into my little grind, I just go. And you and I were just laughing, you know, and the cheers would go up, lightning would happen. Everybody we're running with is cheering, nobody cared. And that right there was just like, you know what, this is the right place at the right time for me. And
that was
I really
one of the
achieved
most
the right mindsets at that point.
Yeah. I was going to say that was the Santa Cruz Marathon, Santa Cruz Capitola Half Marathon. That was of epic conditions. And for the audience, this is taking place in Santa Cruz, California, right? We're originally from the Bay Area, and that's about 45 minutes away from where we live. So it's a coastal town. Now, during that day, as Jeff described, clouds started hovering at about 6 o'clock in the morning, right before then. And there was no rain at that time. I think we had a little drizzle the night before. And about 2 minutes before the gun went off, the skies frickin' opened up. And it rained and rained and rained for almost the entire half marathon and full marathon. The portion I ran, it rained almost the entire time, like 3+ hours straight. And as Jeff mentioned, you had rain, you had hail, you had lightning, you had thunder, and you even had localized flooding on a lot of the different streets. Now, I think there was about something like 25% of those that scheduled for the marathon that started ended up only running the half because they were so drenched and so waterlogged, and just like the conditions were miserable. But like you said, we were primed. We were in our animalistic element of bring it on. What is harder than this?
Well, and we were doing 75 hard at that time, and you had just finished up, right? I mean, if I remember correctly, your culmination was the day before, was the night before the
It was
marathon.
the night before I
Last
finished.
night.
Yeah.
And I went out and ran with you, and I think we ended up doing like 6 miles.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. And it's like, this is unheard of. It's already pouring on us. And you had 2 workouts to do. And I said, okay, well, I'll just do them with you. And it was like, I had 2 workouts and you were going to do, I was just nuts. You would end up, that's what it was. You ended up coming to Santa Cruz a little bit after me. I'd already done my 2 workouts, and then you still had your 1 left. And so I went out and ran 6 miles with you again. So heading into
the night
next
before.
day, probably not the smartest decision that the Nosek boys would make over the years here. But yeah, you wrapped up 75 hard. I just kept going, woke up in the morning, did the race, and then said, okay, we got finished back in the hotel. We said, okay, what's next? And that night we ended up signing up for Ironman Santa Cruz 70.3. Because that was on your board as a maybe I'll do it again, because your board really had the marathon and mine didn't have anything beyond.
Well, mine just had the marathon. They didn't even know what an
Ironman
Ironman
was.
was.
Anything beyond that day, really, right? I mean, I got to Capitola and that 13.1 miles, and that was the end of my goal board at the time. And that night we established we're going to go do an Ironman event. And then the following week, I mean, this is where you have the mindset is in full overdrive. The following week I was back up in Idaho, and it happened to be a Coeur d'Alene marathon weekend. And on the plane, I decided, you know what, I'll run while I'm up there. 5 or 10K. I'm still recovering from this 13.1, longest distance I'd ever run. And so I got up there, and as fate would have it, the website said everything was sold out. And I said, okay, well, I'll just go down and I'll see the race people. Maybe something's going to happen. And so I show up, and I said, hey, do you have any slots open for the 10K? And then jokingly I said, well, what about the marathon? And I remember the lady there said, well, yeah, I can get you in, but I can't guarantee you a medal. And I of course kind of laughed and said, well, all right, that's fine. I'm not running for the medal, right? Not thinking about actually how important that goal milestone really was to me at the time, because it really was just a week after I'd done a half. I said, I can do it. Let's do it. And sure enough, I went out the next morning and grinded out my first marathon ever, and as a 48-year-old individual, and just kept going after that. I mean, so it's what our mindset that we've developed over just the last bit here in the last couple of years really has been about finding the next thing that's improving us. It's not finding the next thing to keep us occupied, but does it make us better? Does it make us better people? Make us better, fathers, in your case, husband, congratulations to you again.
Thank you.
Awesome. But it's really just about, is it moving us forward in life? And that year we ended up, ended up getting to the 70.3 after only training for it for about 3 months, 2.5 months with the bike.
Yeah, less than
we didn't have one. In September of that year, did our first 70.3, and that night again, same mental attitude, right? What did we do? We signed up for Indian Wells for 2 months later. So, and there it is, right there. Ironman Indian Wells. So it's just, man, it's been a quite a journey. I've really spent a lot of time adapting and embracing the triathlete lifestyle, if you will. And yeah, it's a lot of training here and there, but it's also just incredible community. I met so many wonderful people over at all of the events. I have not had a bad experience based on my interactions with people, and that's really, like, I can owe that all back to that first phone call with you when I made the decision to just change the direction of where I was going.
Now, let me take us back just a moment, because I think I want to hit on this again, because you definitely touched upon it. And this is something that I tell my friends, people that are interested in running, whether if it's small distances, ultras, even triathlons, even stuff in other areas, just set a goal. And you mentioned this. It's when you have that goal, go out and sign up for it. Put the money down. Don't worry that you don't have the qualifications, the experience, the background, or the physical fitness level to go out and accomplish it. Because when you put it on the calendar and you put your money down on it, that thought in your head, that mindset triggers, and you realize your window is now compressed. You got to go out there and put in a serious amount of effort to get your process ready to participate. Who cares about the end result, right? It's the journey of saying, I'm going to go out there, and what is harder than where I'm at today, right? In our case, it was, we both just finished a marathon or a half marathon. And then it's, let's go sign up for something more difficult. And by the way, we don't have all the equipment, nor are we trained and ready to ride a bike 56 miles or swim 1.2 miles in the Pacific Ocean with a wetsuit that neither of us had owned probably 20 plus years. We were probably in middle school or high school the last time we had one. If we even
the last time I had a wetsuit on, I think I was like 16 or 17.
Yeah, likewise, right? It was like 25 years before then, right? Didn't even own a bike for like the previous 10 years. And literally about 6 to 7 weeks, 8 weeks before, we went out and bought the cheapest kind of bikes we could find. I rented wetsuits, and we just went out and figured it out.
You figured it out. And you know, we also learned a lot by what we didn't know. We obviously learned, transition. We'd never done one of those, and there's a lot of things that each one of us individually did. You watching videos, we start talking to people. I joined a tri club, all of these things. None of that was there before the 70.3.
No,
that was going to be, again, 70.3, that was our distance, and then we were done. We didn't set another goal. Hey, let's go for a full, let's go do this. It really was that we were done. And that was going to wrap up the rest of the year for, I think, both of us, as far as the challenges go, if you will. And that was another case where, we were, I think one of us or both of us were back doing 75 hard for a second time in that first year. Because we completed it the first time around, and it was just again the mindset, just keep going.
Well, I don't know if you remember, but I wanted to throw this out there. Is we actually did one more in 2019. We finished the year with our very first 50-kilometer trail run, which we'd never done at Woodside, California, for the
Woodside Rumble. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
50K.
Literally 2 weeks after the second half Ironman in Indian Wells, we signed up. Literally, like, I think it was probably the next day. What else can we do? Let's go run a trail run, which neither of us were training to run.
We were not training for a trail run. No, not at all. That you're right. That's true. We ended up saying, what else can we do before the end of the year? That's right. I remember.
And that literally, I would say, capped off that first year of the Nosek boys back together, getting some crazy physical fitness activities, learning a lot, interacting with all kinds of different people in different communities that are all there. I think one of the coolest things, if I digress for just a second, is not just the athletic community, the running community, ultra, triathlon, also join the business community, right? Arete. And what was awesome is to be around such like-minded individuals who are all cheering for you to succeed in whatever area that you're focusing on.
Absolutely, 100%. That's still one of the best, I think, 3-day trips that I've ever taken. You and I spent it in St. Louis at the event,
RT
and
Syndicate
man,
Live.
RT Syndicate Live. Thank you. And wow, that was just incredible. And I know that you're still very close with some of the people. I'm very close still with some of the people that we met just at that moment, even though we're all in different kind of spots. We still communicate quite a bit with the people that we met over time. And you've had some of them on your show, which is fantastic. That even this just a short few years later, it's just still a community that's great to be part of.
Really quick, I want to talk about that just for a second. So I remember that when we were first getting to the airport, and I had invited you, said, hey, I'll cover the ticket. You come with me. This is what the event is. I don't know much more than this, but just get ready, because this is gonna change the way that we think about what we're doing and how we operate and the network that we're in, et cetera. And I remember we were sitting in the airport and we met several people leaving San Jose, right? And we saw them because they were wearing gear, or I recognized them in the group. And I remember faintly, I forget who you were talking to. You're like, yeah, my name's Jeff. Hey, my brother's just bringing me along. I have no idea what I'm getting into.
That's right. You literally
so,
told me nothing about it, and I
nope.
didn't spend any time looking it up. I knew nothing. I just said yes.
And then I remember, when we got there in St. Louis, met a ton of people. I mean, shook hands with, I don't know, tons of people. I can't even count. Photos, whatever, contact information, learning about their business, vice versa. And then I remember on the day of the event, I don't know if you remember this, we're walking through the hall. We're 200, 300, 400 feet away from the entrance door. And I start doing a video. And we're talking about going to the video. And the first cameo of anybody walking into the video is Andy Frisella, putting up the peace symbol right behind your back before he spins off to get into the elevators to go into the wherever the backstage is, right? He literally right there gave us a thumbs up, exchange a few words, and then bam, and you're like, what's going on? Like it happened like that.
Yeah, that was crazy, absolutely crazy, and that just set the tone for that whole weekend.
Exactly, man. I'm so glad that you were able to be a participant and then get to know everybody, join RTA, and the years have tacked on, right? Now, let's move on to something else, right? So I know your core mission, it's to really set goals, work towards them, learn from all the different hiccups and bumps and roller coaster rides, but then also help the people around you. And I know you've been very instrumental in helping guide people through 75 hard, cheering people on during any of the races. I know you took place in a Spartan race with one of your friends who had that on their goal board, and you weren't even interested in doing a Spartan race. So what I want to dive in next is, tell me a little bit more about the avenues that you're choosing to go out and help different people.
Well, I'll tell you, I had the privilege to volunteer at a full distance Ironman event last year as well, and that was one of the things I had set on my list, is that I would give back to the community that I've enjoyed being part of, and it was just an incredible experience for Ironman California, and I got the honor to hang the last medal of the night on the final finisher, well past 11:30 at night. Basically, they were shutting everything down, pulling down tents, and it was the final finisher, group finisher, and I got the honor of placing the medal on her. And that was just a moment for me, being an athlete, knowing what it feels like to come across the line, and then to be able to give back to that moment to someone else. And I talked to the person that I did that with afterwards, and she broke down, gave me a hug, and just was like, "This is just incredible." That tells me I'm in the right space. I enjoy that. I enjoy helping other people. So I volunteer at races. I volunteered for my tri club that we put on the kids triathlon here in the Bay Area, and I volunteered for that. And it's just doing my part to help the community and the support the races that other people want to do. Not necessarily if I can't participate in everything, because if I could, I love it. I enjoy it. And then as well as that, it's about sharing the knowledge that I have with other people. So I'll chime in groups, group chats. I'll jump into Facebook pages. I pretty much join any of the groups that are for a particular event that I am going to participate in. And I'm a pretty regular poster. I want to make sure that people now are learning from the little things that I've learned. I mean, obviously I'm no expert. I've done 10 70.3 events. I've done 3 fulls. And I've done a couple other races, a little thing called Escape from Alcatraz a couple times now. And I really enjoy the moment where I can read somebody's question and go, "Oh, wait a minute, I know the answer to that. I ran into that same thing. Here's what worked for me." And I get to share that experience, and that it brings the joy to me to help other people. And it's just that's what I really enjoy about the community, because I'll tell you what a lot of people don't know about triathlon and ultra distance running is, yes, if you're in the top 5-10 people, you are trying to win. Everyone else is working to finish, not trying to finish. They are working to finish. That is their goal. And when you're out there on the course and you are grinding out in pain yourself, and you hear somebody run by saying, "Hey, keep your head up. Just one more mile, one more step. You can do this." All of a sudden, you're just like, "Oh, you know what? Maybe I can do just a couple more. Find a new point," right? And it's those moments in every event that I've had. Either I've helped cheer somebody on, or somebody has done that for me. It fills you just with it's pride. It's just absolute happiness and joy, even though you are struggling at like the low dark point for yourself. The fact that you then still get to help someone else in the midst of your event is just incredible.
I love what you said there, because I've come across that, and I've shared that with a lot of other people. And until you get into those environments, you don't really understand, right? Because you're not bearing witness to it, right? In the running, cycling type events, or triathlons, even ultra events, the interesting thing is you start almost at the same time as the elite athlete or the professional athlete or upper amateur athletes, right? It's one of the only places that you're actually going to go and be on the same course at the same time as the top people doing it. You're almost never going to be on the same basketball court as a professional, unless you're in that very few select 1%. Same thing with football, baseball, ice hockey, track and field, all these things, right? You literally have to work yourself, just like the Olympics, right? The percentages are so small of the people that actually can qualify and participate at that level. The common person, and I won't say common or average person, but just an everyday athlete that wants to go out and do one of these events, this is like the only time you are literally doing the same event at the same distance as these professionals. The difference is just like you said, they're trying to win, which granted, yes, you're trying to finish. And the crazy thing is it may take you 2 to 3 to 4 times the time to finish the same distance. So if you think about it, not only are you putting in more work, you're doing it for much longer, and you're hitting a farther deep bottom of hell at times to get through it, right? Which is phenomenal when, just like you said, there's other people there that have never met you, never seen you, never talked to you, and they're cheering you on. It's something else about the community, right?
It is, and I'll tell you a little story about the 70.3 from Santa Cruz just in 2022 is I had run with somebody for a couple of miles, and we were doing run walk at that point. We were both pretty wiped out, and her name was Kim, and got to the point where we got through an aid station, and she kind of slowed down behind me, and I just kind of kept going. We sort of traded places a couple times on the course, and we chat here and there a little bit, but not much. It was just really focused, like the both of us, like, you know what, we're gonna finish. This is our goal. And I ended up getting to the end, and I crossed the finish line, and it's amazing every single time I do, especially at Santa Cruz, because that was the first Ironman race I did, 70.3. And so it's a special place. I finished. I hugged my girlfriend. She was there doing that. And then as I was going to go back to transition, she's going to go back to her car. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to wait to see if Kim finishes, because I know she's out there grinding. Mm-hmm. And when I got to see her come down from the top of the hill at Santa Cruz at the end, and she gets down the bottom and make the turn, even she lit up. She was like, wow, you stuck around. And so I actually talked to her, for a little bit afterwards. And then there was another guy that I had ran with for a little while, but he had an injury. And so he was sort of walking his way into the finish, and he saw me, stand out there cheering. He's like, wow, you stuck around, And it's like, you know what? Hey, we were out there grinding together, man. And it's those moments that I am happy to do, and I've had people do that for me. It's just, you just can't put it set up, It's great, and to be able to give back to the community in general, it's just a special feeling.
Yeah, definitely, and I have to say that it helps with the mindset, right? Of knowing that you set the goal. You put in the work, whether if you trained hard enough or not hard enough, right? When you're out there, conditions are never going to be perfect. We know it, we hear it, we say it, we've witnessed it, right? And when you're out there, it's not perfect, right? Something unexpected could happen, right? And then to be able to help that other participant finish just by kudos and then sticking around to say, you know what, you helped me get through it. That's the least I could do, right?
Exactly. And I mean, it's been no bed of roses, right? I mean, we had events where I grinded out my first full distance 112-mile bike ride in the rain in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I missed the time cutoff. Yep. And it's just like devastating. But at the same time, it was also epic, for the time. And obviously I've been blessed. I got to do it with my brother side by side. At least we started at the same time.
Yeah.
Couple races we were pretty close. I got you out of the water in a couple spots, and even got you on the bike at a couple spots. But man, you killed me on the run. But that's okay.
I've always tell you you're going to beat me here and here. But guess what? I'm going to catch you on the run.
You always do.
I'm going to catch you.
And that's okay. Someday I'll work out on my favor, but we'll see what happens.
Definitely. Let's jump forward, because I want to hear about what it felt like 3 months after Tulsa when you actually completed your very first full-length Ironman at Chattanooga, 146.4 miles. Is that right? Did I get that right? It's longer distance. It's longer distance. For whatever reason, I think because you got to go through Georgia and back into the course.
It's an extra little bit there because of where they have to put the turnaround loop there.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, to be able to stay focused on that year as a whole in
2021.
2021. That's right.
Right there.
Yeah. because COVID shortchanged us in 2020. In 2021, we had our St. George kickoff of the year, didn't finish the race. Had Coeur d'Alene, I had bike mechanical issues, didn't finish the race.
It was 110
Tulsa,
there too.
Yeah, yeah, and then the heat. And then Tulsa, again, it was pouring rain the whole time, and that was just, I'd never ridden my bike for 5 hours in the rain before. That was, or 6 hours in the rain before. That was crazy. And so I never lost focus, though. I knew that I could do it. And each step I got a little bit better, right? I mean, I swam the 2.2 miles. Wow, that's the first time I'd done a 2.2 mile swim, right? Mm-hmm. And then I did it again. So I knew I could do it physically. I was just missing one or two little pieces to say, okay, I want to get out of the time, a little bit faster. I want to get through transition a little bit faster. And then the bike. Yep, the first bike, Coeur d'Alene, I only got through, one loop. Had mechanical issues, couldn't go to the second loop. And then the next race in Tulsa, I do the whole bike, but I missed the time cutoff, so I couldn't go on to the run. And then to spend the next few months saying, you know what, Chattanooga is my goal. I will make the full that year. And, some people would say, oh, you jumped to it too soon. Probably. You know what? Sure. But I was also doing 70.3s along the way to get to Chattanooga full. So it was all about the goal of getting that race done and finishing it. And I'll tell you, you saw my face coming across that line. When I heard my name called coming down that chute, oh my God, you are an Ironman. There's nothing else like it. You suddenly aren't in pain when you hear the final music. Like you're coming down at Chattanooga, you make a loop across a bridge and then you come back down and around. Mm-hmm. And you can see the lights, you can hear the music, the whole grind, almost about, I want to say almost for like 2.5, 3 miles, you can hear it.
Yeah, you can
because of the way the course lays out, coming across the bridge from Barton area and stuff. It's there and you can see it and you hear it. But until you actually kind of come down around the corner and then see the chute and the lights and the show, wow. And then suddenly you're like, all right, I can run a little bit more. I'm not walking into the end, even though I'm dying. And it's just absolutely incredible. To hear your name called, to see the race director, high-fiving you at, I think it was almost 1 a.m, like 12:30 or something.
12 something, yeah.
Yeah. Was just incredible. Hearing the song that was playing, all of the things that I didn't notice until I went back and rewatched the videos, because at the moment, all I was focused on is I'm going to get through that line and I'm going to finish. I've done it. 16 hours and 23 minutes. Mm-hmm. I got it done, and it was, you only have 16 hours and 30 minutes, and I did it in 16:23. And you know what? I don't care. I finished.
It's not about the time. It's not about the time, right? It's about the journey.
And I've since, again, that's one of those things where I've done it, and then what did I do? I signed up for it again because I had so much fun at Chattanooga. So where did I do my second full distance Ironman? Chattanooga 2022.
2022.
And where did I do? I did the 70.3 in Chattanooga. So I ended up kind of doing both ends over there. And it's just one of those, once you set the goal and you put it on your board, like you say, here's my schedule for the year. Where can I fill in some gaps? And what am I going to do to get there? That's part of, that process is fun, building that workload to try and figure out, okay, I've got to train this much. Yeah, life's going to get in the way, work's going to get in the way. How can I overcome each one of those things to stay on track, to make sure that I am prepared that the day I put my foot on the line, I'm ready to go. And then I'll tell you, the probably the best thing about that is when you can leverage what you're doing for that into other areas, right? So the mindset is set the goal and then start working towards it. And so for basically 3.5 years, that's what I was able to do. I definitely, be honest, I am at a point where I'm having to do a little reset. And that's very humbling. But again, it's also I've come back before. I'll do it again. I'm not down.
Yeah, well, you know what? Yeah, you're not out, but I'd say we all reach different plateaus, right? And sometimes it's actually higher than where we think we are, right? Sometimes we call it another bottom, and in reality, it's a lot higher up when we turn back around, and if you were to look back 3.5 years, I bet you are blown away when you look in the mirror at the man you are today compared to who you were the day you called me and said, bro, I got a situation. This is what's going on. Do you want to run a 5K, right? If you just look in the mirror, I automatically know, and that's because I know you have watched you grow, but who are you at this time compared to where you were at, right? What are those stark differences, not just mindset, right? But what else is just blooming and blossoming in your life that you didn't even think you had 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago?
Well, absolutely. I mean, number one, I mean, I'll right at the top of the list is actually how close I am with you. And I will give that to the universe to say it put us back together at the right time in both our lives. And we have stayed connected, even though you've moved back to Texas, we've stayed connected. We chat almost every day, if not every day. And that's never been our life before,
Never.
Before 2019.
Nobody in our family does that, right?
Yeah, no one in our family does that 2019, right? So that to me is probably one of the greatest gifts of all of this from the universe. I have people again that I can lean on and share things with that I thought was gone. My circle's pretty small, and you don't realize how small you let it get for all of the different reasons, right? But at the same time, the people that are in my circle, those are my core people.
Well, you know what? As we get older, the circle is going to get smaller anyways, right? Because our interests are going to change, the behaviors that we have are going to change. Some people fall out or fall in, depending on where they are in their own worlds, right? Because they too are going to have some sort of life roller coaster that's going to throw them a curveball, right? It's bound to happen, right? But I think one thing, and you touched upon it, but I don't think you said it explicitly, is consistency. Stacking small wins day after day, and even the days that you might not win, you still win the next day and the next day and different elements of your life, whether that's relationship, financially, or in this case, we talked a lot about athletics, right? So just think 3.5, 4 years ago, you were tipping the scales at 330 something. What have you maintained?
I got down to 256 at one point. And then obviously got back up because it just 256 pounds. And it's backed up because obviously it was also an incredibly unsustainable way I was doing it. Just the amount, I mean, working out twice a day for almost a year is just really not, for me, it wasn't sustainable. It was just taking
it's tough
on a lot of places, but I also was blessed, almost injury free for about 3.5 years, almost 3 years, completely, almost. Then of course, COVID happened, and I ended up getting COVID at one point, and actually it really slowed me down. It took me a while to get back after that. Even though we were still training and doing races, I absolutely noticed that my fitness was different. My ability to drive myself past the dark points was impacted because I would start focusing on wow, I'm just not breathing the way I was before. I just don't have the muscle strength that I had 5 months ago. But now that I'm, over almost a year removed from that, I've gotten a lot of it back because I put in the work and stuff. So it really is, set the goals. You got to set, and that's what I would say. You got to set the goals, keep working towards them. You're gonna fail. Everybody fails. You can't be perfect, and that's okay. Because like you said, I mean, you're talking about plateaus. You're right. I mean, you look back and you go, this is where I was. This is the mindset that I had. And even now when I hit a roadblock, I go, okay, that's not going to stop me. What else can I do to overcome it? Who do I know that can help me, or how can I help someone else achieve their goal? If I can't achieve mine, that's fine. How can I help someone else achieve theirs? Which really is almost the lesson of the ultra community and the triathlon community as a whole. It's, you know what, I've had to table my goals for whatever reason, equipment, funding, whatever, but you know what, let me help someone else. Maybe I can pass on knowledge that I have to them. And so that's the next phase of my journey, if you will. Working closely with you, hopefully, and taking things to the next level for other people, really.
Excellent. Well, let's spin into that. What's on the horizon for my brother Jeff Nosek, right? So I'm going to put you on the spot here. So we got something cooking in the hopper, and it's kind of gone a little stale for a little bit. But do you want to throw out a deadline into the universe on this podcast of when we're going to finish that?
All right, it's March 14th. We've set the deadline on this project for us a couple of times, and we've moved it. And I know it's been on your board now for a lot of days.
It's on my board.
And we take hitter starts. So I'm going to say April. I'm going to say May 1st.
Okay.
45 days, approximately 45 days from today.
Okay, so we're going to have a draft for the brothers Nosek. We've got a book coming out. We're going to have a draft by May 1st. You heard it right here. Get ready, because we're actually going to bring you back on as we get closer into that. We may even have some panelists.
There we go.
And ask some questions about it. Give us some tips and pointers. So sorry to put you on the spot. Actually, not okay. Sorry. I'm doing it on purpose, because
this is how the board gets updated, right? This is how you say, here's the next thing. Is draw the line in the sand and say, we've got to do it. So now it's out there in the universe. It's published. It's a talking point. Now we have to do it.
100%. Not to mention, it's the same philosophy we've used from the beginning. Set the goal, plant a flag, and start attacking it. You might not know how to get there. You might not have the resources, the tools, the knowledge, the skill set, the dexterity, whatever it is. Now it's time to go out and be a pioneer and get ourselves to that point. So I'm looking forward to it, brother. That's awesome. Yeah, what else you got going on? I know you got some other things under the hood there that you're working on. Care to share any of those? Put them out in the universe or not?
This year I've had to scale back my race schedule a little bit, but I do have Morro Bay 70.3 in May. Have Escape from Alcatraz for the third time in June, and then
awesome race.
2 more big races to close out September and October. So September is Santa Cruz 70.3 for what would be the 4th time doing the race, which is great because my tri club is heavily involved in the race, and so I'll get to be around a lot of those like-minded individuals that I personally know and train with. And then you and I have the No Business 100 Trail Run in October. So
October 20th, 21st.
I was able to make it last year, and this year I'm going to be there. So we've got some stuff in the hopper. I'm working on a couple other little publishing things here and there. Try and get some stuff out under GHN.
Okay.
And, little short essays, if you will. And it's really just about reaching out to other people and figuring out how I can help them. Right. That's my next few months as far as that goes.
Excellent. So let me spin this back around. We're going to close it up here in just a second. But for our listeners, so far, what are the top two things that you've been doing that have led you to the path of where you are, where you've been able to pivot from where life's challenges were 3.5, 4 years ago until today? What are those top two takeaways that our audience could use to get them going in the right direction?
The number one catalyst event to do is just put your name out there. Decide that you're going to do whatever it is your goal is, and just sign up, right? I mean, that's for, if it's races, sign up. If it's you ready to go and find a new job, apply. It's put in the time to actually do it, but just start. Take the steps, update your resume if you hadn't, because you want to get a new job. Those are the things that I would say is the number one thing to leave with people. Is everything that I've seen in this short amount of years now is, no, don't just have one goal, have another one, have a stretch goal, because as you say, you may not reach it, but guess what? You're now farther ahead than you were before. And that's kind of the second piece, is make sure that when you're setting your goals, you can always put one out there that's absolutely incredible and unreachable and unattainable. Guess what? You're probably going to get frustrated after a while, because that's the only thing you're working towards, because it's so far out there, and it's going to add a lot of hiccups and a lot of things. But if you also add a couple of smaller ones right before it, you're going to get the incremental there. And so the goal setting is the big one. And then the second piece is surround yourself with like-minded individuals. And I think we've heard this from pretty much every mindset speaker we know and have heard from, but it's true. Like-minded individuals start helping you see things from a different view, saying, hey, oh, you know what? If I do this one or two little changes in my day, hey, guess what? I just freed up 30 minutes, or I just freed up an hour, or you know what? I can do something a different way. Hey, I just saved myself $3 a day because I'm not doing, a certain coffee a certain way or something. And it's just those little things, all those compound and add up over time. And so surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals to even help get their ideas, or you help them, everybody moves forward. That's what my top two takeaways are.
Those are two key ones, right? Get clear on what it is you want to attain, and then surround yourself with the people that are going to be able to help you there. And usually that's experience-based, or they're going through it, or they've been there, or they're at 1, 2, 3, 5 levels above you, where they're going to challenge you, right? Because just like in an endurance race, when you're in the moment and you're running next to someone, you're going to try to run with them as long as you can, because you see the stride they're doing, the techniques, everything else, that eventually you will adopt that.
Yeah, you're seeing what's working for them.
Yeah.
And you start adopting the little pieces. Absolutely. It's
fantastic. I love that. My brother, now for our audience, this has been a pleasure. We've covered a lot of different things. We've gotten to know you. We've gotten to share a bunch of mutual brotherly bond stories. Where can people find you if they have questions? How can they reach out?
Primarily, I am on Instagram at Nosek Jeff. So it's my last name, Nosek, first name Jeff. That's the primary place. I am also on Facebook. Rarely, but I have an account there. LinkedIn messaging, if you really feel like you're on the business side of things and want to talk to me, I'm over there too, with the same thing. So that is me.
Awesome, brother. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on the Ultra Catalyst podcast. I know our audience is getting a lot of value out of this, because you talked about being at some of the darkest, deepest recesses of mankind at times, going through a divorce, and that is hard as shit. But you powered through different circumstances, hiccups, you found a routine, you found a community, and you put in the work. And that's not only commendable, you continue to succeed regardless of what kind of roller coaster you're on, because you have multiple goals and stretch goals out there. And I can't wait to see what you're putting out there in the next few months as you dive deeper into the publishing space and hitting us together on that May 1st goal of getting our draft together. But thank you once again for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Stephen, and best of luck to you in this. I love your spirit, and you definitely are putting a lot out there for the world to get benefit from. So keep going. Thank you for having me.
You got it. Thanks again. Well, folks, thanks for watching the Ultra Catalyst podcast. Once again, our guest today, Jeff Nosek, my brother. You'll be able to find all the information in the show notes. If you like this, share it with a friend, hit like, subscribe. We also will have this on YouTube as well as the audio channel. And as usual, if you have any question, you want to know a little bit more information about either of the topics that me and Jeff have been talking about today, send us a DM. We'll be happy to respond to you. Thanks for tuning in. We're signing out. Have a great night. Thank you.